Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, we're in the middle. That was our guest, Robert James Koyich. Welcome back, Robert.
Thank you, Nancy. Good day.
You've been on the show a number of times, and it's always nice to have him back. What I was just going to say is we're in the middle of May, and the weather here hasn't been great. Now, if it's great where you are, I don't want to hear about it, but I do want to hear about I do want to hear about Robert's. He has a new book, and it's an audiobook. So, Robert, tell us about it.
It's not quite a new book, but it is newly available. It's my first audiobook. Okay. But the audiobook title is Fragments of Intent, and Fragments of Intent is technically the first three fountains: The Finding Natalie, Searching for Tomorrow, Valley to the Fountain, the first three individual books I wrote. And I bundled them together into the book Fragments of Intent. And those are the three leading books of the Fountain series. And Fragments is now an audiobook, the first audiobook that I have. So that's the new book, as it were.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
New as in audio. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So how did you find somebody to do the audio reading?
Just by chance. A friend that I had known for about half a dozen years, his name is Colin McEwen. And I approached Colin with the chance of doing audiobook recordings. I'd previously tried to record myself just using my laptop and my earbuds to record an audiobook before. I had great difficulty with it. Colin said he never recorded an audiobook before, but he works with sound and that is the sound system at the church. And he said, yeah, to give it a go. So we tried to record. It took us about 5 to 7 sessions, I think. It was really challenging to record the book because of some of the stuff in places where I was back in 2013, 14, 15 when I wrote the first book. And then the third part I finished in about 2016, 17. But going back in time to some of those early sagas was really challenging on a soulful level. I had great difficulty. I stuttered, I mumbled, we retake. And we resulted in completing the audiobook in about January or February this year. But there's one other thing that is absolutely fantastic that I love about the book. I also realize you haven't said, but Charlotte Spivey, she's been on your show before. Charlotte was with Teresa Martin, Deshawn. I don't know Deshawn's last name, and Jackie Yu.
Yeah.
Charlotte is wanting to work as recording audiobooks for people. And when I made the recordings with Colin, we completed the files, submitted the files to ACX, the audiobook company that publishes on Audible, iTunes, Amazon. Charlotte sent me her recording of both the introduction and the first page of the book. Now, the concept of having a woman read the first page of the book is imperative. I thought we'd go without, but because I hadn't heard from Charlotte in about 2 or 3 months, but just magically after we submit the files, she messages me and says, here are the files. So Charlotte reads the introductory credits, the dedication, and the first page of the book, which is technically from Natalie's perspective. Going back in the fountains were meant to start from Natalie's perspective, like Natalie writing. I was going to write the entire book from Natalie's perspective for the first book.
Right.
Second chapter, of course, I wrote from other people. The third is when I claim my voice. But Charlotte reads this introduction, and it sounds fantastic to me because the last words in the words that she reads in the beginning of the audiobook is, I must wait, which sounded like Natalie, the dream girl. The reason I started writing the books was saying that she must wait for me. And I don't know if that means that she has to wait for me to find her or that she has to wait until she finds me. But that concept of finding Natalie, the very first book, is magical to my heart.
Cool. Oh my gosh. So what made you decide to have an audiobook in the first place?
I had the idea of putting the audiobook partly as another form of media. Some people don't read, some people play audiobooks. I don't know where the seed was that sprouted into wanting to create an audiobook, but I tried it with Open to Fate, the 8th Fountain book, the one where I talked about providing points and had the speech, The Seed. I wanted to record that book as an audiobook. And somewhere I just said, it'd be neat to make an audiobook out of this. And so just impulse, like no specific major reason, just went through with it. Financed the audiobook with some investment money that I had set aside. Paid Colin a fee for the audio work, offered him a wage, and he said, yeah. And he performed an extra 2 or 3 sessions, didn't want to charge me, didn't want anything else. we did make agreements for the royalties where for my 3-part books, 51% goes to a different cause. So Fragments of Intent, 51% goes to Ann Davis, the Ann Davis Transition Society in town. And then 15% will go to Colin, and I'll pick up the remainder for like author earnings.
Okay.
But
So what has the reception been for this book so far?
4 copies have sold, not many. There's barely anybody who's heard it up to now. I did have some promo code. I still have some promo codes for free copies. If you want one, I can relay one to you. I can give you a promo code if you wish.
Yeah.
But the idea and the hope and the wish is that you'd sell enough copies of Fragments that we'd be able to warrant or justify recording Sans Yesterday, the next 3-part book, because there are technically 6 3-parters in the world now. So to record Fragments, lead into the Sans Yesterday, then Shards of My Soul and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
But as is, it's a trip. It's going to be really difficult to record the Sans Yesterday. I have a print copy of Sans to give to Colin so he can read it and verify he's okay to read the book, because Colin had a copy of Fragments and said, yes, he's okay to record it. But I don't know the perspective of how it is to be a producer and hear somebody else work with it, but Colin has done like massive work for the book. He recorded everything, sequenced, edited, put like ambient sounds between the chapters. When Charlotte sent her work, I sent him her work, and he incorporated it into the files. Like, Colin did massive work for me, and I want to compensate and reward him heavily for doing so. I don't know if the return on the investment will ever be made, but at the same point, I would like to not have to say, only until then we'll do this.
Yes.
So somehow I have to find a way of gathering money to pay for the audiobook recording and make the Sans Yesterday as the second audiobook.
Right. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Well, it's getting the word out there that it's available, right? And that's the most important thing. So hopefully this will help a little bit. You have now. Oh yeah, it's because it's oddball. I wanted to show the picture
of what?
Of the book, what the cover looks like.
Okay.
But I can't. I'm having trouble getting it up for some reason. Okay. Because I thought that would help if people, if they can see something visually, right?
Should I grab? All right, let's wander through the landscape. This is a print version, but that's the print version of Fragments of Intent. It's got the phone booth on it.
Yeah.
I'm just searching my first and last name, Robert Koyich, on Amazon, Audible, or ACX or iTunes. You'll have to find the book easily.
Right. So that's better. If people give an idea what they're asking for. Sometimes a visual. Yeah. Sometimes a visual helps. So now I know that your brain is always working on things, right?
Plotting and planning. No.
Pardon?
It's between being ultra passive and plotting and planning. It's like it's somewhere in that spectrum.
So I imagine you're working on other things as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm working on Rivers of Truth, Fountain number 20, the 20th individual book. It's the second part of the 3-part book, The Sacred Spirit, which is the seventh of 8 3-part books, 24 individual, 8 3 parts. Okay. That's the Fountain series. I've started writing a book called My Bag of Trips, which goes into my drug, psychosis, substance use, schizophrenia, and more my story and experiences. That's a difficult book, but I would like that book to share the element of a cautionary tale to warn people why not to do drugs and why to not go into the substance path. Yes. So that book's in process. And the only other book that I'm, 2 others, but one other that I'm working on is my day-to-day journal, which is called Developing Our Trust for 2022. Right,
yeah. I think about you doing the one about the schizophrenia and how that came, but I think that one is going to be very important for people to read.
My Bag of Chips?
Yeah, the one, yeah, it was, yes.
Yeah, My Bag of Trips, the drug book, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be major because it's so prevalent what's going on with there. And people don't always think about the danger.
Yeah, well, it started with cigarettes, then it led to alcohol, then it led to marijuana, then mushrooms in the hospital, then after the hospital, the worst stuff. Like, when I took the drug path, and I'm still kind of locked to being like 17, 22 years old in my like adultiness. And I'm like actually 44 now. So like that doesn't make sense that I feel like I'm locked at that age because of the damage I did to my skull from the drug use. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And again, it's I think it's something that would be good for parents to share with their young children, like before they get to be teenagers.
It's an adultier book in that regard. It's not necessarily written to a younger audience, but it is definitely encouraging people to maintain sobriety or to not go dabbling. It might be, I mentioned some things that are like adultier that are probably not like, 14-year-old to read type thing.
Oh, no, I meant like if an adult read it and then explain to like a.
Oh yeah, but we don't want to scare the parents either. We don't want to say, oh geez, I don't want my kids to be erect if they took a hit of pot or something.
But I hear what I've heard before from people who smoke pot or did mushrooms is, oh, it's a natural product, but
no, herbals. Yep.
Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you, right?
When I was at Wendy's, I was encouraging the kids back then, when I was the older one, don't do marijuana mushrooms. They can lead to the hospital. That's what happened to me. Yeah,
right. It's like poison ivy. We know it's a natural product out there, but it doesn't mean it's good on your body. So people younger people especially don't seem to think through those things and realize that just because something is growing out there doesn't mean it's good for you. There's a lot of poisons and it affects you in different ways, right? As you can verify, So I think that's really, really good. So, and now talk about your charities, because I do know that you
yes,
to be involved in charity as much as possible, right?
I don't put like strong driver effort towards charitable work, but the giving group is still open. We have 22 active cards. Ruth and Emmy's have 13 of our cards, $25 a month right now. We barely had any donations or new pledges, but we have a bit coming in from other sources. I gave a Starbucks card to the Ruth and Emmy's contact as appreciation for continuing the program, because she's done amazing work and effort for organizing the cards at Ruth and Emmy's.
Nice.
The contributions for my books still go 100% individual books go to causes, and 51% for my 3-part, but I've had less than $500 in sales in the past 3-4 years, so there's not been big money from the books. And regarding the giving group, I don't like asking people for money, which is what fundraising is. So honestly, if there are 2 or 3 people that would love to do fundraising to provide relatable grocery card support in Chilliwack, please contact me, get a hold of me. I'd love for some volunteer fundraisers. That'd be great, because I don't feel comfortable telling people, can I have your money so you can give their money to somebody else?
Yeah, I hear you. It takes a certain kind of personality to do that, right?
Yep. I like the creation, the aspect, the organization, not the actual solicitation.
It's like it was suggested to me that, if I wanted to get paid to do this show, I need sponsors. Well, in order to get sponsors, you got to go and ask them, right? And it's something I can't, I'm not comfortable doing it. So instead I do it as a volunteer, because I enjoy doing it.
Well, and natural acquisition also, you letting people know that you love sponsors, you don't want to ask for them, and then other people will collaborate and Pollyannically develop on your side. People will gather for you. Yeah,
because it would be nice to have a crew again. And I used to have a crew before COVID, right? Nobody got paid, but it was nice to have people around, and what would be especially good as an editor, because I absolutely detest editing. So I do it. But anyway, so we're going to cut this short, because I'm just going to I want the message out there that your book is available. Share it again, show it again, so people can see the name.
Oh gosh, Fragments of Intent, the first 3 fountains.
By Robert.
By Robert Koyich, name of it right there.
So it's in a hard copy, and it's also, he's got a new one, audiobook out there. And as he said, some of the proceeds, you said 51%? 51%
of the proceeds go to Ann Davis Transition Society.
Okay, and that's here in Chilliwack, and I think it's worthwhile for anybody to check out the book, and I think you'd be happy you did. And Robert will be on the show again, because we just have a great connection.
That caused my heart and face to smile. Thank you, dear Nancy Guitar. Merci beaucoup.
You're welcome, and thank you, everybody. I hope you continue to like, share, subscribe, and be nice. That's my new motto. Be nice. It's cost you nothing.
Be kind. Yes.
And peace.
Nice and kind. There you go.
Peace out, everyone.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.